Let's give everyone a round of applause just for showing up, right? Because that's always half the battle is people showing up. So my name is Gavin Johnston. I'm the Assistant Vice President of Commonpoint. No, I'm not. I'm the Assistant Vice President of Bronx Services. And I can't thank you guys enough for coming out, celebrating this beautiful space we put together. We have some great speakers, great guests. But the first person we're going to bring up is the Chairman of the Board, Lee Pearlman.
Thank you, everybody. I think Commonpoint is in the house. Commonpoint is in the house. As the chair of the board of Commonpoint, it took a great leap for our organization to make the kind of investment we did to bring this place back to life. But if you ever needed to be reminded why we made that investment, just be here this morning. To see a building like this that was sitting relatively dormant with so much possibility in a community with so much need, when our board saw this building, we said we had to do this. We had to do this. We borrowed millions of dollars to do it. We took a big risk. We're not from the Bronx. We're from Queens. But wherever Commonpoint is, wherever community happens, that's good enough for us. And there's going to be a lot of community happening here. So I'm really just very proud of our team, our incredible team that put this together. This space is beautiful, and it really befits the community. And I think it's going to befit a whole intergenerational group of people who are going to grow up in this building and see what types of services they deserve. So we're very, very proud of that. I want to welcome our dignitaries. We have a lot of dignitaries. Can't invite everybody or introduce everybody, but we do have the Bronx Borough President, Vanessa Gibson. Wade, yes, Wade. Council member Raphael Salameyer. I pronounced it wrong. By the way, that's my fault because they told me how to pronounce it wrong. I just screwed it up. We appreciate their support and encouragement. We've received a lot of support from elected officials in the community and in the district. We have a lot of other funders that should be mentioned. United Jewish Appeal, UJA, the Tiger Foundation, the Mother Cabrini Foundation, the Charles Hayden Foundation, the Stella and Charles Gutman Foundation, the Littenauer Foundation, that I pronounced correctly, by the way. And then our partners, Apex Development, for finding us this wonderful space and this opportunity. DYCD, the Department of Education, the United Federation of Teachers, Building Skills, Notes for Notes, and really my fellow board members who came out here and looked at this space really took a chance, because we're fiduciaries. We're not supposed to just do anything we want to do. You can look at something and you could dream about something, but that doesn't mean you should do it. And we took the leap. And we have an incredible CEO, Danielle Ellman, who is the queen of taking leaps. And basically encouraged us all to basically move our community wherever it needed to be, and this is where it needed to be. You know, I grew up in a community that was a little bit disconnected to me. I grew up in Forest Hills, Queens, where Central Queens Y center of Commonpoint is. And I grew up kind of as an orphan. And I didn't live with my mother or father. My father had passed away. My mother was an alcoholic and she wasn't at home. And I grew up with really no connectivity to the community. I really was a 16-year-old, didn't have a job, didn't have parents at home. I lived alone. You know, in those days, nobody kind of knew what everybody else was doing. And it was kind of my business, and we just lived alone. I lived with my younger brother. And one day, 50 years ago, I walked down the block to the Central Queens Y Center. It was then called the Central Queens Y, and walked in there and asked could somebody help me get a job? And I wasn't really very polished. I didn't have parents to help me do an interview. I basically was nervous as could be, and I said, can I get a summer job? And they gave me a summer job. That started out to become 6 years of summer jobs. Started out to do my applications for graduate school and college, and a career that really started at Central Queens Y. And then 50 years later, I'm the chairman of the board, which is kind of a full circle moment, I think. But places like community centers are about generations. They're about role models. They're about people helping other people and seeing young people and seeing the potential in young people. When I see that swimming pool upstairs that has apparently been empty for a number of years, and I see what's going to go on in that swimming pool, the lessons, the experiences, the parents in the pool with children, adults and young people together, teenagers, just in that pool. A pool represents community. A pool represents community. And the fact that that pool was relatively abandoned and we've been able to recapture it like this is really just a marvel. A marvel. And we were able to do this in kind of record time. You know, a lot of projects take years and years and years. Not the Central Queens Y, not the Commonpoint team. They see something, they want to do it, and we don't waste any time. And this place is going to be operational in the next weeks and months, and we're going to be helping the community very quickly. I think it's time for a video. Now, I don't promise the video, because I didn't do the video. But if you can turn your attention to the screens, we're going to push some buttons, and there's going to be magical video. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Over the course of a single lifetime, we might go through moments of crisis, times of stability, and stages of growth. We need systems of support to navigate these different phases in life, and it's rare to find support for all of those phases in one place. At every stage and every age, people can look to Commonpoint to find care during a crisis, access opportunities to grow, and deepen their sense of connection to those around them, where everyone is welcome. From summer camps and job training to food pantries and private pool clubs, from new parents starting their journey to older adults discovering new passions, to community members finding their first job and families being welcomed by their new neighbors, Commonpoint is by your side. We are so excited to bring all of these programs and resources to the Bronx. We offer academic services, ESOL classes, GED programs to support our community members in reaching their full potential. Advancing skills through workforce training to empower individuals to find careers paying a living wage. Health and wellness programs to promote positive exercise habits for a lifetime of health. Supporting the needs of our working families through after-school programs where students receive homework help, interact with their peers, and are physically active in a safe and nurturing setting. Your needs may change, but we will be your Commonpoint. Community happens here.
Hopefully everyone shedded a tear, because I did out of my right eye. So as you can see in the video, everyone from infants to older adult has a home here at Commonpoint. And like we said in the video, all those services we would love to turn on here in the Bronx. So without further ado, I wanted to bring up, welcome Borough President Vanessa.
All right, good morning, everyone. Bienvenidos a todos. Welcome, everyone. We are so incredibly excited to be here. Let me first thank Gavin. Thank you for the tour this morning and getting in my cardio, walking up the steps and walking around. Thank you, Gavin, and your team. To Lee Perlman, our board chair, and all of the board members of Commonpoint. To our Madam President and CEO, Danielle Ellman. To you and your phenomenal team, and to my colleagues in government, our council member, Rafael Salamanca Jr., our state senator, Louis Sepulveda, our assembly member, Chantel Jackson. I want to recognize the leadership of our local community board, CB3, our district manager, Etta Ritter, our board chair, Joetta Brown, and everyone that represents our community, all of our alumni and community advisory board members. Everyone is a VIP. An official welcome. An official welcome to Commonpoint, the Bronx. I want everyone to understand what this moment means. This is a transformation for our community. It is an opening of a new chapter as we here in the Bronx officially welcome Commonpoint to our borough. This is their first full-scale community center in their portfolio, and they could have been anywhere, including the borough of Queens, but they saw an opportunity and took advantage of that. For that, we are grateful. There is an incredible history here at 1665 Hoe Avenue. And for those of you that are alumni whose lives have been transformed by this space, formerly known as the Hoe Avenue Boys Club, and then became the Joel Smilo Clubhouse. You know the history of this site. You know that during the 1960s and 70s in our community, right here in this borough, we were faced with a lot of drug activity and many challenges of families living in poverty and so many young people that were involved in gangs and crew activities. And I recognize so many of the leaders at that time that became credible messengers and trusted partners and activists fighting for peace so that young people could be safe. They could be involved in something positive in their lives. Hoe Avenue Boys Club was that opportunity. Opened doors in the 60s and 70s for young people, predominantly young men of color. I recognize one of the activists that I learned about, Cornell Benjamin, who became an activist to de-escalate all of the conflict that was happening in our borough. And unfortunately, his life was viciously taken on December 2nd, 1971. But guess what? The work continued through the 70s, through the 80s, through the 90s, and the early 2000s. And so today we take an incredible step forward as a community in welcoming Commonpoint to our borough and realizing that they already have a track record of proven success. The thousands of dollars that have been poured into this space in a short amount of time is remarkable. The programs that we have here, this multi-purpose room, I saw the music room, I saw the podcast, I saw the pool, I saw all of the classes that are happening from web-based learning to 3D printing to ESOL classes to GED training to workforce development to financial empowerment. You need to understand that this is an incredible opportunity for our borough. This is a beacon of hope and opportunity, a safe space for young people, for young adults, for teenagers, for adolescents, for older adults, for seniors, veterans. I call them seenagers. Our older adults who are still teenagers. We welcome our families here in this community. This is going to be an incredible opportunity for such a time as this. And we are so grateful at a time when we're seeing far too many young people involved in negative behavior, in violence, in our schools, around our schools. This is going to transform their lives. I need everyone to understand that as we move forward, we do so with a collective responsibility. All of us have to make sure that the families in our community know about this space. They know about Commonpoint, the Bronx. They know about the fact that this is a space where you can be who you are. You can be authentic. You can show your creativity. You can realize your dreams. I was ready to fund the opening of the pool when I did a site visit under the former ownership at Madison Square. And then I learned about the potential sale, and there was a lot of uncertainty. A lot of families, let's be honest, they were pissed off because they said, what is going to happen to our clubhouse? How are we going to save this space for our children? And I acknowledge our council member that brought all the elected officials together and said, we have to do something. Let's put our capital in. Let's figure this out. And then we learned about Commonpoint, and we learned they were from the borough of Queens. And guess what we did? We did our homework. We said we need to know who they are and what are they offering to our kids. How can we make sure we minimize any disruption? How can we make sure there's a smooth transition so that no family feels that just because of a transfer of ownership, there is a disruption of services, right? And so in this space is where mission meets margin, right, Gavin? Mission meets margin. And I just want everyone to understand that this is such an emotional moment because I think about so many families that are struggling every day that can't afford after school, can't afford a lot of programs like Beacon, Compass, Sonic, and so many others. I think about what this space means. So I am grateful that Commonpoint took a chance. And yes, Lee said it's a risk, but guess what? We're going to make sure that the reward is greater than the risk. How do we do that? We do that by making sure that our children and our families take advantage of this space. We make sure that we have swimming classes and lifeguards, right? We make sure that we're teaching our parents culinary programs, adult literacy, financial empowerment is so critical to building our healthy and stable families. So again, I want to acknowledge Commonpoint. I want to say thank you for investing in the Bronx. Thank you for seeing the promise and the potential that we have. To all of our community partners and service providers, to DYCD and our Commissioner Keith Howard, to New York City Public Schools and the United Federation of Teachers, Bronx Community College is here, all of our alumni, we are all here for this important moment. This is the story that we want to talk about in the Bronx. How we turn our pain into purpose and our storm into strength. How we are resilient, how we often are knocked down and counted out, but we are always working together as winners. Our community wins today, ladies and gentlemen. Our children win. Our families win. And so I am a grateful public servant because I know that this is an important partnership that is truly going to yield the results that we deserve to see. And when I say results, guess what I mean? Keeping our scholars safe, giving them pathways to college and careers, focusing on their talents and skills and experiences, allowing them to be authentic, making sure that our teenagers have a space for Zumba and exercise and fitness and walking and dancing. Yes, that's what Commonpoint, the Bronx, will do. So congratulations to everyone, my profound appreciation and gratitude. Thank you for your investment, and most importantly, we look forward to the partnership ahead. I said to Danielle, our CEO, that I think the next project council member that we should make sure we do, ADA compliant. Let's install an elevator because we want to make sure that everyone has access, right? Everyone has to have access. Every able-bodied person. So I look forward, Madam CEO, working with you and our elected officials. You have my commitment and my support. Congratulations, community, on this incredible win, and thank you, and welcome to Commonpoint, the Bronx. Thank you, Gavin. Mission meets margin. I got it.
Thank you for that, Vanessa Gibson. Thank you. Thank you to the borough president. Please welcome New York City Councilman Raphael Salamanca. So Raphael Salamanca is from the Bronx, which is awesome. Love people that are born in the Bronx because they know what this community needs. So please come on up.
All right, buenos dias. Good morning. I am Councilman Rafael Salamanca Jr. I get it. They jack up my name all the time. I'm a proud Bronxite. born and raised in this community my entire life, and it's the greatest honor to be able to represent a community that I was born and raised in, and now I'm raising my 10-year-old son here in this very same community. This announcement today, actually this ribbon cutting today, is extremely monumental for me and for the residents of the Bronx. We have a crowded room here today. When we heard of the announcement, the unexpected closure of the Madison Square Boys and Girls Club, we knew that it was going to leave a gaping hole in this community. As someone that has lived in this community his entire life, I know what it is not to have services in this community. I know what it is that when they need to do a budget cut, they look at the South Bronx or communities of color or poor communities throughout the city of New York. I know what it is when we have issues with crime and gun violence throughout the entire district or throughout the entire borough of the Bronx or throughout the city of New York. We are always last to receive services. I know what it is to live in poverty. I know what it is to go to elementary school down the block in the 80s and see your buildings burnt down. I know what it is to see a line of individuals standing on line to put their hands in a hole so that they can buy their crack cocaine. Because I lived here in the 80s. I saw it firsthand. And when I heard that this building was going to close, it just brought me back to how much this community has risen and how the closure of this building was just going to bring us back to what I lived back in the 80s. To many of us, it was a norm, right? Once again, we take the shortest end of the stick. When this announcement happened here, we had a community meeting upstairs in the gym. I saw individuals cry. I saw individuals show their emotions. They were angry. I saw the worry in parents. Where's my son or my daughter or my child going to go for after school? There was an individual that said, I'm going to raise $8 million. Knowing this, my wife and I are blessed because we have the resources for our child, but not everyone has those resources. And I knew as a representative, we needed to step up and we needed to do something. And so when I heard that Commonpoint was the organization that the former organization that was taking care of this facility, owned this facility, wanted to bring them in, I said, I need to meet them. And so we galvanized, we got our elected officials together, we had meetings, the borough president, the state senator, the assembly member. And then I took it upon myself to go visit Commonpoint in Queens. And what I saw out there, really, it blew me back. I saw what you would call a clubhouse, something that people would pay for to attend, something that they call a clubhouse. I saw over 3 swimming pools. I saw mental health services for adolescents. I saw services for seniors, and all these services were free for the community. And I knew that they were the right organization to come and service us here in the South Bronx. And so when the decision was made, I knew that it was a no-brainer. Commonpoint was needed, and we needed to give them the support that they needed. Now, as elected officials, we have 2 responsibilities. We have many responsibilities, but our 2 responsibilities is to pass laws, and most importantly, the power of the budget. I know that when Madison Square Boys and Girls Clubs were here, I was able to allocate $1.2 million so that they can make repairs to this building. Not many repairs were done, and I know that we are able to reallocate that $1.2 million so that we can assist in whatever they need in terms of capital funding that they need here. But most importantly, they said, Salamanca, we're gonna come in here. This is a new service. We need services. We need funding for these services. So I called my speaker, I called the commissioner for DYCD, and we were able to allocate $200,000 as a startup kit so that they can provide services here at Commonpoint. So I know that you received that check. So in ending, I just want to say thank you, Commonpoint. You did take you took a leap in coming to the South Bronx. But as I mentioned to you, what you're doing here is that you're changing lives. You're ensuring that a community who has always been left behind, you are bringing back these resources. You are presente. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. God bless you all.
Thanks, Councilman. And to keep the train rolling, we're going to bring up UFT Vice President Mary Vaccaro.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Vaccaro, the Vice President of Education for the United Federation of Teachers. And on behalf of President Michael Mulgrew, I send you greetings. We are so excited to have Commonpoint here. I'm going to tell you about professionally, and then I want to share a personal story, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, about some great stuff. Commonpoint is now working with the UFT in order to open more ESL programs, more GED programs all across Queens. We are committed to offering the same here in the Bronx, and we're so excited to have this new Bronx space in order to do so. There are children that are waiting every single day for GED programs, but there's not enough space. Commonpoint provides that space, but not only do they provide the space for the GED programs, but those wraparound services that students need. And we at the UFT want to be part of that community. Just so all of you in the Bronx know, so the Queens people here know this, Commonpoint is a household name in Queens. I was a teacher in Queens. Every school in my district had a Commonpoint after-school program for free for those students in order to participate in. That changes lives of parents across the city. That changes their lives so that they're able to work and not worry about their children and know that their children are in a safe space with people that are accredited, that are taking care of them and truly care about them. Many of our students, at least in my school, PSI is 266 over in Queens, many of them not only first went to the Commonpoint program, that was our after-school program, but then ended up working in that after-school program. And that changed their trajectory of what they were doing in order to keep them busy after school so that they weren't alone home in their house. I also want to now share on a personal note. On a personal note, I am so proud to be standing here today because my mom is part of the dementia program that is going on in the Little Neck Commonpoint. We don't have to worry about her 3 days a week, even though I talked to Danielle and Craig. 3 days a week, that bus comes to pick up my mother, brings her to Commonpoint. She's there all day long. She calls it school. So she comes home. She brought home a project of a snowman the other day, whatever. We have a lot of fun. But just know that here in the Bronx, you're going to feel that way. And the second piece I want to add, my husband learned how to swim at a Commonpoint pool. Then it was the Samuel Perlmutter pool, correct? Samuel Field, the one across the street, that he learned how to swim there. He became a lifeguard, which started his interest in becoming a phys ed teacher. This June, he will be retiring after 34 years with the New York City Department of Education, but that all started by his work and what he did in Commonpoint. So know here in the Bronx, we expect big things from you. I expect to get some of my phys ed teachers from that swim program upstairs. We're looking for all the wonderful things that are going to happen here. But just looking at the space and all of your smiling faces, I could already see that luck is being brought on to Commonpoint. And congratulations and best of luck to your new place.
Thank you so much, Mary. I'm just gonna give a quick words. So one of the things, I wanted to talk about, I had this great speech prepared, number one, but walking around, talking to everyone, seeing the different faces and seeing the different people in here, I didn't think it was time for kind of a written speech, right? I really wanted to talk from the experiences that I had here the last six months. I know it's a small snapshot. I know. It's a small snapshot in the grand scheme of things. But I tell you, the last 6 months have been unreal. The people that I've met that have walked through this door, it's funny, really quick funny story. So we have Success Academy that rents a gym from us, and one day we had an EMT that came into the building, and as soon as he hit the door, he met me right there. He looked me right in the face and he said, "Gavin, this place changed my life." I go, "How?" He goes, "I was heading down the wrong path and someone, pulled me up." And there were countless stories like that. I promise you, it's countless stories of people saying this place changed their life, right? For me, hearing that, I'm like, how can I not sign on to keep that legacy going? How can we all not sign on for really making sure that we change people's lives and we give them opportunity, right? Bigger than anything, I always say, I have this tagline, my wife is gonna kill me, but I have this tagline that goes, success is opportunity, preparation meeting opportunity, right? The people that I've met in this community, they're prepared. The people in this room right here, we have the opportunity to give to them. So I promise you, if you do what I say, pull someone up. Someone looked at me and gave me an opportunity, said, "Gavin Johnston, we believe in you. you can do big things, right? And I hope, I pray that today is not the only day I get to see everyone in this room. I pray that today is not the only day I get to see you, right? I pray that you raise your hand and you say, Gavin Johnson, I'm gonna show up for you, but bigger than me. If you do, I'll love it. But bigger than that, show up for this community. Because I promise you, there are some hardworking people here that just need an opportunity. And you guys are the picture of success. And I think us together as a team can really, really do some big things. We look at this space, it's not lost on me for the team that's in here that was occupying the space. I know it's been a journey. I promise you, we live it. We have this great saying here at Commonpoint, we're flying the plane as we were building it. I lived it for the last 6 months. So it's not lost on me for the team that's in here that lived it with me. I promise you, we're finally seeing the forest through the trees. Here we are, ribbon cutting ceremony, and everyone's excited. So please, 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 let today not be the last time I see everyone in this room. I really want you guys to show up for this community, because this community really deserves it and really, truly needs it. So with that being said, I have a really special guest right here sitting that's locking eyes with me right now, Miss Little. Miss Little is exactly what we talk about in this community. Miss Little is a picture of success in this community. I met Miss Little. I got a funny story for you. I have a funny story for you. So we had after school orientation led by Sarah, who we have to acknowledge, who really did some really big things here, opening up the after school. And Miss Little came in, arms crossed, no smiling at all. And then slowly but surely, the arms kind of loosened up a little bit because she heard about all the good services Commonpoint was going to bring here. Right? We kept the after school up and running just for that reason. So Miss Little, thank you for welcoming Commonpoint, but thank you so much for speaking to this great crowd here. Miss Little.
Thank you. You know I'm shy, right? I just act like that. And it's hard to follow up behind these two council people that I was bullying before we knew it was closing. But welcome, family, friends, guests, community members, board leaders, UFT, DOE, yeah, right? And I just want to say it like this. I used to be former Junior 137, so I have to say goodbye, Junior 137. Hello, Commonpoint, the Bronx. Yes, thank you. My name is Regina Little. This building holds a very, very special place in my heart. I came here when I was 9 years old. And each of my 4 boys have attended this building like me. It's deeply rooted in my neighborhood, as you can see. Last August, my 17-year-old passed his key to his younger brother, who's 7. The moment was bittersweet. We had just told that Madison was closing their doors, and we didn't know if there would be an after-school program here. All the parents got together, and we spoke with Gavin and Miss Sarah. We listened. We were listened to. And more importantly, we were heard, as you can see today. We were excited. This was going to be our first experience with Commonpoint, the Bronx. And it was a good moment. And it's going to continue to be one. They told us after school would continue. But more than that, my kids and I could continue to see familiar faces. Welcoming us in, Miss Shirlene and Doc, Miss Keisha, a lot of Mr. Kobe, a lot that we didn't think was going to see and hold us up. The new faces quickly became trusted friends. My son is excited to come to after school. He makes sure to do his homework, Miss Keisha, so he can join dance, arts, crafts, and music. From day one, the kids were welcome to this building. When they arrived, the good news was they didn't have to wait till 3 o'clock no more. That was my fight. That was my argument. The public schools that I service in this community, we get out at 2:20, 2:40. So you telling me my child has 2:20, 2:40, 2:45 to go get into some mischievous things and then pop up in the boys club like he's been here on time. So now I don't have to worry about that now. My son bus gets off at 2:30, the schools get out at 2:20, 2:40, the boys club is open. The Commonpoint is open. Excuse me, like I still call Stop and Shop Half Mart. Give me a minute, okay? So Commonpoint is now open. When my son get off his bus, He comes right here to Commonpoint. So I appreciate you for that. As a mom, it is a huge relief to know my child is in a safe space and not on the street. There's true partnership between the parents and the staff here. They want the best for our children, and we see that, and we appreciate it. We love the building's facelift. I'm matching it today. It's brighter and more welcoming. Best of all, the pool is open, where we used to have our sleepovers at. Okay, so we happy that we finally got that pool. You say 5, you say 8, we say about 10 years, right? That pool's been closed. I never learned to swim, but my boys and I will be here. I taught the lifeguard here, which tells you we have a tight community. So my lifeguard, I taught him. So many resources was lost during the pandemic. By bringing the GED, ESOL, and construction training classes, you are bridging the gap for the community. Our youth needed the hope. They can build a better future for themselves. To end, I'll give you one piece of advice. Don't give up. The community is standing with you. We know brighter days are coming. Commonpoint, the Bronx, welcome to the neighborhood. Salamanca, I'm happy now, okay? Ms. Gibson, happy now.
Thank you, Miss Little. I told you when we first met, the passion's there, and I see it more and more every day. So it's probably the biggest honor I've had here is this moment right here, being Assistant Vice President of Bronx Services and being able to welcome up Danielle Ellman, who's our CEO of Commonpoint. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Craig, who really, like I said, one of those people that really saw something in me. So I really would love to bring up Danielle Ellman, CEO of Commonpoint.
Good morning, everybody. I was telling the borough president that the speeches today have been tremendous. And so, like everybody else, I'm going to go off script for a little bit, which is going to upset Judy Vladimir because she's like, you always go off script. And I promise I won't, but I am going to go off script. And first, I want to say that I am like blown away. We have done ribbon cuttings before in Queens, but holy cow, the Bronx community. Oh my God, you have shown up and shown out, and we are so happy to be here with you this morning. Thank you. Thank you for being with us. So I'm going to share, if you indulge. I am literally the last speaker. It's me and the ribbon. I'm just, that's it, guys. So indulge me for like 2 seconds with a little bit of a story. So we had actually brought, thanks to DYCD, we had actually brought some services to the Bronx a few years ago. We were releasing some space to do some vocational training and ESOL programming. And we were kind of quickly outgrowing the space. And our friends at Apex Development, who are always looking for buildings and opportunities, were looking for a space. And for themselves, not for us guys, for themselves. And they started talking about this space, and they're like, yeah, there's a pool, but we're gonna fill it up. And we're, for a charter school, where's the boo? No boo now? Thank you. For a charter school, and the pool won't be anymore. And our chief operating officer was like, Dee, I have the craziest idea. Should we buy a building in the Bronx? And like Lee said, it is not easy to convince people to spend millions and millions of dollars and to do these things. But I want to tell you why, for me, that moment was super important. So anybody who works at Commonpoint has the fortunate, unfortunate reality that they meet me within the first month. I do something called a meet and greet, and I do share this story, but I'll add a little bit of context for today of why the idea of shutting a pool really bothered me. So I'm a kid who is the child of 2 immigrants who came to this country. Neither of my parents spoke English. A community center literally lifted them up and supported them. It's how they met. It's how I exist. I learned how to swim in a New York City public pool, pit pool, down on the Lower East Side. And when my father became terminally ill and everything kind of got a little bit crazy in my house and I needed a job, SYUP, it was a community center that I turned to, and it was the ability to swim that allowed me to leverage a skill to get a job that really helped me to figure out lots of different things. And what I like to say is a community center is a building, but it's the people inside of here. and the services they provide. So when I didn't think I could afford college, when I didn't know what was happening next, it was a community worker, what I like to say is a college access and persistence counselor, who sat me down, who helped me to figure out how to afford college, who helped me to find other jobs. So while I was working 3 jobs and using those lifeguard skills, it's a community center that anchored me and told me it's okay to breathe. And so my entire life has been committed to creating community centers, creating opportunities, to create vocational programs, to create ESOL, to help people who come to this country who cannot speak English, to remind people that this country is a place where we welcome everybody, where we support people, where what we benefited from, we pay forward. Like Lee pays forward as chairman, like I pay forward in my role. And I'm gonna make myself sound old for a second, but my son always says to me, say it with your chest, Mom. But I actually say it with your actions. And so we bought this building and we opened the pool. And when there was no after-school services and we had $0 to fund it, we said we're not shutting down after-school services because parents needed too much. And so we turned to our board and we say, fund this because the community needs it. And we fund vocational training with our partners like Building Skills Construction because we know that people need to make real money, living wages, to support their family. And so I say, even though my son says, say it with your chest, Mom, that I really believe that Commonpoint says it with their actions. And so, like Gavin said, for everybody standing here, say it with your actions with us. Say it in the ways that you support us. Say it in the ways that you show up for community. Say it in the ways that you keep coming for services, because all of us are kids that just need opportunities and just need moments where people can truly believe in us. Gavin, you thanked the team here that did the work of the constant moving around, and I just want to thank you all. The people in Commonpoint staff deserves a huge round of applause. Because I get to sit and say, what would it be like if Commonpoint offered services on the moon? And they have to figure out how to make it happen. And so while there's construction going on, we're providing GED classes, we're providing ESOL classes, because we're saying it with our actions. We know this looks beautiful and pretty, but I promise you it's not the prettiness of this building that matters. It's the people, both the community members and the staff of Commonpoint joining together to do the work, to create the opportunities. And so thank you to our entire team. Thank you, Craig, for making this happen with your team, Dave, with Mario, with Seth, with our entire building services crew who was here till ungodly hours last night, making this look all sparkly and beautiful. Thank you, thank you. Thank you to my team, my leadership team, who sits and figures out how we build things in the moon and how we make them happen. We might be Queens kids, but we are so proud to rock the Bronx on our chest and to be a part of the community, and the warm welcome that we've received and the team and the ways we've embraced that this community needs us and we need this community. Thank you to the team for believing in this and for jumping into it, our AVPs, everybody pouring resources. And then our partners in government and our partners in philanthropy who are all sitting here with us today, who hear our ideas and support us and recognize the needs of community. I don't know if you heard this yesterday, but Robin Hood came out with a study that tells us that 1 in 4 people in our city are struggling. 1 in 4 people. And we can all be a part of that solution, and community organizations like this can be a part of that solution. So really today, I'm asking you to show it with your actions, to help us cut that ribbon, to keep coming back for services and resources, and keep in conversation with us about what you need, because this is a dialogue with community. This isn't Commonpoint coming in to tell you what you need or the services or resources that you need. It's you telling us how we best support you to uplift your families and uplift your community. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. We are so grateful to be in the Bronx and excited to cut that ribbon.
1, 2, 3.